chocolate isn't the answer. Could you repeat the question? Hello, I'm Pat Coakley, and welcome to Podsnack's Art of the Diet, the weekly podcast that each week tries to ask the right question about how to maintain a significant weight loss. You can access all the episodes on www.artofthediet.com. Hello, this is Pat Coakley, and this is episode 159. And it's another interview for Art of the Diet. And I'm so happy to share with you a woman who I've been in contact with for about the last year, who is a Weight Watcher Lifetime and Connect member, and such an overall positive human being. It was really the last few weeks, people. I needed to be around some positive people, and she was one of them. And so I'm going to share with you in a few minutes her wisdom. And she's got a lot of it about herself, about her relationship with food, but also she participated in Weight Watchers through her workplace. And she shed some very interesting thoughts on how to navigate those waters. And so I think you'll enjoy it. And hopefully it'll help us all navigate the days ahead. And I don't just mean the holidays. I am recording this intro on Monday, November 5th, the day before Election Day. And I guess I feel as anxious as I should have felt 2 years ago. But believe the polls and was not that anxious. Well, I'm anxious now. I can tell you that. And I can't even pretend to be zen about this. And I know most of you who know me will not be surprised that this is the Art of the Diet podcast. And these past 2 years have contributed layers of unease and disbelief into my life that is the equivalent of a medical diagnosis, an unwelcome one. And I've just found it exhausting. And as you know, I've tried to deal with it sometimes with humor, but on some days and some weeks, and boy, this last week was one of them, I just plain ran out of perspective. And the only upside was my appetite disappeared. But I knew I was going to share Eileen with you. Eileen, I think. I should have actually asked you exactly how to pronounce it. It's spelled capital I-L-E-N-E. And as far as managing stress through food, which I used to do, not now. And partially I say it because I think I've committed in the past few months to a daily meditation practice. You know I've hit rock bottom in my strategies if I took up meditation. You just wouldn't have believed that I would have been the type to do it. But honestly, I've been doing it with regularity, 20 to 30 minutes a session, sometimes 5 minutes only, but multiple times a day. And I have to say, it does help me manage the stress and anxiety. But I've also noticed that I sort of disengage from that cycle of, what's in the cupboards that's going to make me feel better. So I just toss it out there that if anybody's on the fence about trying it, give it a try. Because, I don't recommend anything that doesn't work. But the challenge for my meditation practice will be Wednesday after I hear the results. And the stakes for me, they couldn't be higher. Let's put it this way. My next interview in December will either be conducted from a monastery or a Las Vegas 24-hour all-you-can-eat buffet. Okay? Anyway, on to lovely, wise Eileen. I'd love to share her story with you, and I would love to share your story or someone you know that you think has a story to share with us. So please email me at artofthediet@gmail.com. And really, because my story is just really not very interesting in the food department right now, I can tell you. And I need to give you all something to help you. And I just think listening to these brave folks talk about their lives with such honesty and with so many remedies that it's just inspiring, and I hope you feel the same way. Okay, so contact me. Let me know you'd like to participate or someone else. And onward, I hope. Okay, so here we go. It's recording. And first off, I just want to thank you so much for doing this because I'm genuinely excited to talk with you. And, I've appreciated your notes over the past year. And I want to start with this one thing. When do you first remember thinking about yourself and weight in the same sentence?
It's interesting. I had read a book maybe last year, and it was about a little girl who was always heavy.
Yeah.
Right? And what was, I guess, so what became so crystal clear to me was the friends that you have when you were young and how you felt about them and how they felt about you. And I literally wrote my childhood girlfriend a note, and I said, "Thank you so much for always seeing me and not the fat girl I was."
Oh.
And she came back and literally when I saw her in person, she said, "Eileen, I never saw you as fat." And I said, "Well, I always saw myself as fat."
Yeah.
And I was so grateful to have her who just was a friend, and is still a friend after all these years. So I think I always saw myself as heavy, always.
Can you remember how young? Can you remember how young you were?
Well, when I was young, my sister was the heavy one, and I was always the one who was the picky eater. And then when we moved from Brooklyn to Long Island, everything shifted in my world, and I became the chubby one, and I didn't fit in, and and my sister blossomed, and I just stayed this, and it was like second grade.
Second grade, okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's early on, isn't it?
Yep.
Just when we're forming our ideas of ourselves. So,
right.
What was your history with dieting?
I think I always tried. I don't think I was successful at all, but I wasn't ever heavy. I would say maybe I was 150 pounds in high school.
And how tall are you?
5'3". So I was short and dumpy.
Yeah.
But never obese.
Yeah.
Just I always never and part of the problem was, like, my mom would do Weight Watchers with my dad, but I was never heavy enough to be worth the investment, so to speak.
Right.
It was expensive back then.
Yep.
So I remember my mom doing it with my dad just to get my dad to lose weight.
She didn't really have to.
Weight. But no, she never did. She was she worked in Manhattan, so she walked a lot.
Okay.
So she, I never remember her imposing her beliefs on diet with us.
Yeah.
Because she was raised with a very strict parents. So she always kind of let us figure life out kind of our way. And I don't remember her imposing it on us.
Okay.
Um,
So the
I think it was
negativity,
more my own.
the negativity about weight didn't come from her.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, no. I think it more, I want to give it more to myself than to her.
Okay.
I don't know. I want to say society more than my
Yep.
parents.
Yep. Yep. So when do you remember for the first time going on a diet? As maybe as an adult, maybe as a kid you really didn't, but as an adult.
I want to say after college,
Okay.
I had got my first job and was with all these 20-somethings, and I just changed my eating habits a lot and lost a lot of weight. I was exercising. I was doing all those things that young 20s do. They exercise a lot. They go out at night. They don't eat a lot. So I had lost weight then, but I don't recall it being a structured plan.
Okay. Okay. And were you happy with yourself when you lost that weight? What were the benefits that you remember?
Well, this is a silly story. So I wore my aunt's wedding gown when I got married. And I would always go over the house in high school and in college to try on the dress. Even I didn't have a boyfriend at the time. I wanted to try on that dress and make sure that dress always fit me.
Oh.
And my uncle used to say, "Nope, you're too fat. You're not going to fit in that dress." And I remember putting on that dress and saying to my uncle, "Look, it fits." The dress from the 40s that had the buttons in the back.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. I got that dress to close. So that was like my biggest, the dress fit. So
okay, that's a great excitement. That's a great story.
Yeah.
That's a great story. So how long did you keep the weight off?
Not very long. I would say I got married in 86. And by the time I was going to get pregnant with my son, I was up to about 150, 160.
Yeah.
And by the time I had him, I was about at 200 pounds.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's about 10 years. I did well, I need to put a disclaimer here. When I married my husband, he was 156 pounds and he's 6'3".
Wow.
So my objective was to get him to gain weight.
Yeah.
I just came along for the ride. Yeah.
So was this okay? So when you got married, you were obviously in your aunt's dress, so feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And
feeling good. 119 pounds.
Yep. And then you got pregnant and gained weight. And then what happened?
Then I went to Weight Watchers
for the first time.
I came back from maternity leave and started with the at work program with Weight Watchers at my employer.
Okay.
So that's where I first was introduced to it and where I started my Weight Watcher journey,
okay,
so to speak.
All right. And how did that first time go?
Good. It took me, I want to say it took me like a year, maybe a year and a half to lose the weight and get down to my goal weight.
That's actually pretty fast, right? For losing from 200 to 120 or something. That's a lot.
Yeah, I think I was I was consistent.
Okay.
Once I set my mind to something, I'm pretty driven.
Yeah.
So I even remember making Weight Watcher meals for my son when he was a baby and giving them to the babysitter and saying, feed him this instead of what she was cooking, because I wanted him to have a healthy start.
Do you feel that contributed to your issue, that when you were growing up, you weren't necessarily eating the right things?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I I was such a picky eater.
Yeah.
So I didn't want him to be.
Okay.
So I remember doing that and being, and my husband will always tell you, like, every recipe he's ever eaten, he says, it's Weight Watchers. My wife cooks everything Weight Watchers. So we've always eaten healthy.
Yeah.
For dinners, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because that was just what I wanted to feed the family.
Right. So it took about a year and a few months to take off the weight. So you reached your goal. And did you go to meetings at that time on a regular basis?
I did.
Okay.
So I did the at-work meetings.
Yes.
So they're structured quite very differently than a regular traditional meeting.
Oh, okay.
And because you're doing it in an at-work setting, it's very condensed.
Yep.
And you're with your peers.
Yep.
Which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah, I can see it both ways. Yep. Yeah.
So I had a lot of takeaways from that. Not maybe the first time, the second time that I rejoined Weight Watchers, I had a different perspective. I was a lot older.
How much older?
A lot more aware.
How much older?
I want to say, I lost my first in 1994, and I went back in 2010.
Okay.
And when I went back, I had probably, I don't know, maybe 30 pounds to lose, maybe.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit more. But I don't want to say older and wiser, but I was.
Yes.
Because there was a lot of things that I learned about perception when you're at the outwork setting and you are losing weight and your peers are not. Right?
Okay.
So it's one thing to go to a traditional class, you weigh in and you leave, and you don't see these people but once a week. And
right.
But when you're in the at-work setting, everybody's paying attention to what you eat. Everybody wants to know
how you're doing it. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
That's
and
interesting.
There's a lot of negative that comes with that.
Yes.
So I really had to manage how you talk to people, how you show up. And that was really a different way to work the program, because you weren't just working it for yourself. It was more of you were on display because you were doing it well. And then some people liked you and a lot of people didn't like you.
Yes.
So you had to really manage that perception. And as difficult that was, it kept me really focused.
Did you ever consider not doing it at work and just doing it separately?
Well, no, because the employer offered such an incredible incentive.
Right. What was the incentive he offered outside of paying for it?
Well, that was enough, right?
Oh,
okay. They paid for it, and it's during the day, so you don't have to do it on the weekends. You don't have to take time away from your family. So that was enough of an incentive to not go to the traditional.
Okay. So what one bit of advice would you have to somebody who might be listening who's offered Weight Watchers at their place of employment today? I imagine they still do it.
Oh, they do. I'm involved now with one as well.
Oh, okay.
So I would say that you have to be really conscious of your I think the right word is your excitement.
Okay.
Right? Because you're doing well,
yes,
doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else is.
Right. So
and a lot, really manage how you, I guess, be more aware of your perception.
Okay.
Right? How you are showing up, because you could, in your mind, say to yourself, I am so disciplined. I am so focused, and I'm going to pass that donut.
Right.
But a lot of people, the person that brought in those donuts, they're offended.
Yep. Yep.
Because, right? So it's just a matter of how you are perceived. I would say, well, thank you, but, no, maybe not maybe next time. Or, you just have to
learn how to say no gracefully.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And yeah.
So,
and also, it's the comments that people make that you have to learn how to brush off as well. It's as much your perception as it is how you take what people say and how you need to let it go.
Can you give me an example of the comments that you have to learn to adapt to?
I'm a creature of habit. Okay, so if I have a banana in the morning with peanut butter, that's my go-to breakfast.
Right.
And I have it about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it holds me until about lunch, and I thoroughly enjoy it, and it's probably the best part of my morning.
Yep.
And my boss walked by and said, "Oh, there she goes again, eating her banana and her peanut butter."
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, "Oh, yeah, business." But,
Yep.
It's those things you just have to let go, because you know what? I like my banana and my peanut butter.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah. Does he have a weight issue, your boss?
Nah, he just was making a comment. But my point is that people say things, and you just have to let them go.
Yeah.
You have to this is what's working, and yep, that's what's working.
So, yes, it does. And because that happens outside of whatever meeting you're going to, whether it's employer-based or, a retail spot-based, in your life, people make comments. And so I think it's good advice that, really generalizes out. What were some of the benefits that you felt from being successful each time with the Weight Watcher program? Aside from the fact that you were going down and you were fitting into your aunt's wedding dress and I'm sure some clothes in the second time that aesthetically.
I think it was more about control. This was what I could control.
Yeah.
So I think in this world, there are so many things that we have no control over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything, as the saying goes, shit happens. But the only thing I can control is what I put in my mouth and how I show up and what I do. So I try just to control what I can and let what I can't go. And that's why my focus is on what I eat and how much I exercise, because those are the only two things I can control. Now, with that said, I exercise a lot because I train for half marathons, and I don't do it as a runner. I do it as a walker.
Okay.
And I've been doing it for years, but we do our long runs or long walks on Saturday mornings.
And that's your sister, right?
I'm sorry?
When you say we, it means your sister?
No, I do a large, I'm part of a running group.
Okay.
So we meet on Saturday mornings, and we do anywhere from 8 to 10 miles, sometimes 12. But that requires me to have to train during the week, so that Saturdays don't kill me.
Yeah.
So it's a focus of, if I do this, I will feel better then.
Gotcha.
So I have to train every night, and I have to, walk 3 to 4 miles every day. So it's all of those things that are all part of my success.
Yep. Yep.
But they're the only things that I can control.
And are you ever tempted to just say the hell with it with the long walks and the marathons? Or is this something that doesn't provide or doesn't really irritate you on any level? You embrace it?
I kind of embrace it.
Okay.
I struggle with that. Yeah. Would I like to sleep on a Saturday morning? Yeah, I would. I really would. But I don't feel well when I don't.
Yeah.
If I sleep in, I don't, the extra hours in bed, my body doesn't appreciate. I
Yeah.
wake up and I feel achy or I feel horrible versus if I had gotten those 7 hours and gotten up and got out and walked, I feel better. So it's kind of a vicious circle.
But it seems more on the plus than the minus. It's not a white knuckle commitment you're making.
No.
Yeah.
No. And it's really not. And the best part of it is I go with friends and we talk the whole way. And by the time we get back, we're done.
Right.
You know, we caught up and the
Right.
walk's over.
Right. So, since 2010, when you went back for the second time, have you been up and down during that period or pretty much stable?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I went right back up and rejoined again in 2016.
Okay.
And when I rejoined in 2016, it was a whole different mindset. It was I had been diagnosed, it was my second diagnosis of cancer.
Okay.
And I was just committed to myself that I needed to take the best care of myself that I possibly could.
Yeah.
I gave up diet soda. I mean, I did all the things that I gave up pasta. I mean, I gave up things that I never would have dreamed of in a million years.
Yeah.
But I went back to that, or you call it my why.
Yeah.
You know, my why had to be me, and my razor focus had to be about what I could control.
Yep.
So I have no control over what the doctor's going to say, but what I can control is I've done everything I can to show up and be as healthy as I can be, because the cancer just scared the bejesus out of me.
Of course. Of course.
And I wanted to be as healthy as I could be.
And did you find that this laser focus, although weighted with fear, I'm sure, at base, made your choices easier?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. Oh, you know, like I bring up pasta because I would eat pasta every single day if I could. Yep. I love my pasta with my pesto and my cheese, and I was the happiest person in the world. And I never thought I'd be able to give it up. And it was probably one of the easiest things I've had to do, because it didn't add anything positive to my body.
Yep.
So it was easy to let go of. You know, like you think about, is this going to help my body? Is this going to, you know, I mean, do I eat pasta on a Friday night before I train on Saturday? I do.
Yeah.
But that's my only night that I eat it.
Right.
And I'm limited to what I eat, and I know why I'm eating it versus a big plate of pasta and I'm a happy girl. You know, now I have a reason for doing it.
So during this time in 2016, although you were dealing with a very serious and scary diagnosis, you were also taking control of your eating. And as you say, you don't have control over what the doctor's going to tell you, but you do have control over your body and how you care for it and respect it. And
absolutely.
Did that help you deal with the diagnosis, to know that you were taking control of this aspect of your life at least?
Yes. You know, I don't care what anybody says. Having a conversation with an oncologist is just not an easy conversation to have.
Exactly.
And, you know, the first thing he said to me when I saw him, because I see him every 6 months, I saw him, I guess, in maybe 2017, he said to me, well, he's lost weight. And I said, well, that was by design. Like, that's what that's what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And he looked at me and he said, well, stop that. And it was like, oh, excuse me, buddy. Let me try. That's not how this works.
Oh my.
Because, they're not used to having people lose weight. Or if they do, it's not for a good reason.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty darn good, and my God, I'm going to lose weight, and I'm going to keep losing weight until I get to the weight I want to be. You know? But that was his response, but that's okay.
Well, it's funny. It's not often in our life we hear that. And
exactly.
So it does stick out. And the irony of it, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Really. So from the 2016 rejoining, have you felt that you've maintained the kind of discipline and commitment that you started off with, or has it been hard to maintain that laser focus?
No, I think it's been easier. Okay. And I don't necessarily know why. I think it's being part of the Connect family and constantly being connected and tracking, because I still track. Okay. I still weigh every week.
Yep.
I constantly now. With that said, I don't get on my scale every day. I get on my scale twice a week.
Yep.
Once on Monday to see what damage I did over the weekend.
Yep.
And again on Thursday, because Thursday is my weigh-in day.
Yep.
And that's it. I don't have a horrible relationship with the scale. We just, coexist. And I know that if Monday's weigh is pretty high, then what I have to do to get to Thursday,
yep,
I'm okay with that.
Yep. Were you all right with the scale throughout your life, or was it always sort of a coexisting thing with you?
Oh no, it stayed very hidden for many, many years.
Yeah, me too.
Many years.
Yeah.
And it had dust on it, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
we were not friends.
Oh, really? Honest to God, I think of the variety of scales that I bought, thinking that they were going to give me a different figure, just by buying a new scale. So, where are you at today? Are you feeling like this is your life, that you've sort of mastered it in some way? And
oh no, I don't think I've ever. I don't think I'll ever say I've mastered it.
Okay.
I would say that I am constantly learning how to work it and trying to adapt it into a healthy lifestyle.
Okay.
Because I don't. One of the questions you asked me is, do you think you've got this all figured out? It was like, nope, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because today I can walk away from that Snickers bar. Tomorrow, I don't know. It's kind of good. Is it worth the points? No, but I don't know. But today I'm okay. Today I can. And as a disclaimer as well, my husband was just diagnosed with diabetes, so it puts a whole different twist.
Boy, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep. It puts a whole new perspective on what you're bringing into the home, what you're putting on a plate, and how you, how you look at food differently.
But so I would imagine with your background with the Weight Watcher meals and cooking, that it's not as radical a difference for you and your husband, actually, than it is for somebody else.
Right. It's not radical because I've been getting him to eat the rice cauliflower for a while now. And he kind of likes the spaghetti squash.
Yeah.
So we're still, you know, I mean, can I get him to be 100%? Not so much, but what comes in the house is a lot less tempting.
Yep. Yeah.
Now.
Wow. So you're going to have to, is he dependent on you for the meals and what he eats?
Yes and no. I mean, I think he honestly knows what he should and shouldn't eat.
Yeah.
And I am trying my best not to be his mommy.
Yeah, it's so hard.
And tell him what he should. It is. And I always say to him, I'm not your mother. Eat what you want. You know,
yeah.
I can't be that. When I am so strict for myself,
yeah,
I can't. It's too hard.
Yeah.
Because we know that the only way that this is successful is when we embrace it.
Yeah.
And if somebody is telling us what we can and cannot do, we're not going to be successful. Because we have to buy into it ourselves. We have to believe it. So me telling him what he can and cannot have isn't going to be, he's not going to be successful. And then he's always going to be looking at me like, can I have this? And it's like, oh, come on.
I know. Well, you're a wise woman. Oh, my apologies for that abrupt ending. Despite doing this for 3 years, my podcasting editing skills are still not in the top 10 of my resume. But at any rate, thank you so much for listening. And I know you will have gotten something great out of this interview. I know I did. And so I look forward to seeing you in a month, either from the monastery or from the Las Vegas all-you-can-eat all-night buffet. And remember that if you have a story you'd like to share, I'd love to hear it. And the email is artofthediet@gmail.com. Take care.